All right, guys, so today I'm here with a very special guest. His name is Dimitri. When I started the community about a year ago, he had a skill that he wanted to use. He was working a 9 to 5 from what I remember, right? And he was wanting to do a Zebekiko dance. So he's gonna talk to you about all of it, but he ended up making $6,000 from that business, which is not insane numbers, but for the person watching here, if you are working a 9 to 5, that is something that you could have been doing something you actually love. And for someone that really wants to do something they love and make money from it, it's life-changing. Good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
So before you joined the community, or before we started working together, what was your life like? Like describe your headspace and just who you were, your friends around you, like what you were doing in terms of money.
So before I joined the community, I've always wanted to start a business. I started working at 12 years old, restaurants, 9 to 5s, etc. I told myself I always wanted to do something more than having a stable income working for someone else, but I didn't know what. So I realized December of 2020 or January of 2025, Zebekiko dancing was in demand in Montreal, and I did not have the skill. So I decided to learn the skill to possibly teach people as a business. And before joining Nick's program, I didn't make any money. I didn't have any clients or anything, no ads launched. I basically didn't have anything, just the skill that I learned during the summer to teach people how to dance Zebekiko.
That's really cool, man. And when you said like you were working a 9 to 5 and you were like a stable job and everything like that, besides obviously wanting to make more money and do something on your own, what made you want to change? Because there's a lot of people out there still doing, a 9 to 5, still doing stuff like that. Like, what made you want to change that? Because it is comfortable, like it is stable. Like, what made you want to step out of that?
I knew that if I would stay in that lifestyle, get a job after university, regular job starting with 60,000 a year, making 5% more every year, I knew I wouldn't get the goals that I've wanted to be financially free, work from everywhere I want. I could be in Italy working. At home, I would always want to continue working, but just having the liberty of doing it whenever I want, wherever I want.
Okay, so financial freedom, location freedom, those are important for you. And what would you say, like when you first joined the, I don't even know, how did you first find out about the community or just us?
I think it was through my brother. He saw one of your ads saying that you were looking for entrepreneurs in Montreal looking to grow, personal side and business-wise. And I told myself that that was my opportunity to get started, really with people that knew what they were talking about. Okay, cool. And what was like your first impression joining the community? Like obviously like it was something foreign to you. What was that whole experience looking like, and how was the mindset back then? Okay, so I spent my whole life, all my friends are, I would say, like people that want to work corporate jobs. Okay. They don't wake up early, they don't see the back end of improving, let's say physically and mentally speaking, learning speaking skills or sales in general. Okay. And I still am one of the only ones that is looking towards that. And when I joined the community, we would wake up at 7 a.m. or a little earlier to talk about our goals and try to complete these goals before 9 p.m. For me, that was a whole game changer. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how I would scale personally my lifestyle and the money that I'm making as well.
Yeah. So for you, it's kind of like an accountability thing, a little bit.
100%.
Cool. And I guess like when we first started, it was obviously 30-day challenges, and I'm sure that helped a lot. When you first joined the inner circle, what did that do for you? Like in terms of starting your business, how was it back then?
So not having any skills, I didn't have a program, I didn't have an offer. I don't think I've launched ads. I was new to everything in the entrepreneur game, and we would go every week, talk about what I had to complete before next week to keep going with the business and get the ball rolling. And that's pretty much it. So I would say not having any skills, I was like a student in the inner circle. I was just learning from not only you, but a lot of people as well. But you helped me for literally most of the business aspect in terms of like administration and sales for Zebekiko.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess like, did you think like, because obviously like you learned the skill, and then from that point on, did you think you were gonna make money? Like, how did you feel? Like, did you ever have that thought that like, oh, am I credible enough to teach people? Like, because when you start, at least for me, like it's a little bit scary from what I remember, even with the community.
I had the skill that I was still learning when I started. I wasn't thinking of, oh, can I reach 10K a month? I didn't even think I could do that. I never did the calculations. We never talked the accounting behind it.
Okay. So it didn't even cross your mind?
No. I was like, oh, maybe it's a business. From starting a business, like you can make money, but I've never had a goal for numbers wise, how many clients I would want, how I would do my stuff, how I'd just build my funnel. So I had no idea on how to proceed with these types of...
Yeah, and that's the thing, like when you start, it's like, you almost think to yourself, like, okay, I know I can maybe make this work, but you can't feel or visualize it. And like, even for me, when I started the community, like you see it, but until it's there, it's like, you don't even know you're capable of that. Would you say that you thought you were capable of making that money, or did you see yourself as somebody that you did not even know that was like possible?
I would say there's a bit of both. A lot of the stuff that I learned throughout the inner circle, I wouldn't even think about doing. So a lot of the stuff, like I wouldn't think it's possible, like the psychology behind selling.
Like the objection handling.
Objection handling, identity framing, it's all stuff that
You'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised.
For context, that's an identity frame that we always used to laugh about and talk about, of course.
What was it? It was
You'd be surprised, man. Like there's a lot of people I speak to who don't. Yeah.
I think we still
you guys still use it?
Yeah.
So hold on, keep going, because I'm so excited. I was gonna say, like, okay, so for you, obviously, like there was fun, because we had fun. It was not only like business, but like it was business, but we had fun doing it. Like the identity framing is a great example. What would you say was the biggest value in working with us? What were the biggest things that you learned? Some people, I know there was sales, obviously there was the marketing aspect, like creating your offer, the pricing, the data, the ads, the cold calling. For you, what was the biggest value in working with us?
The biggest value I've ever got, well, it's a mix of everything, but it's how to build a proper funnel. If I didn't have a funnel behind my business, one that made sense with my offer, how I would attract people to join, and basically everything that goes in with, I don't think I would have the business that I have today and the money that I've made as well.
Yeah. So for the people watching, like, what would you explain to them? Like, how would you explain to them what a funnel is? Because there's a lot of people that see that online. For you, like, what was the value inside of that? Like, was it the way that we would teach it to you?
Every week, I would try to do something to better myself or better business-wise, just so I can talk about it in the community. I was excited to join just because I would want to talk about the updates on my business and how we can go to the next step to get even further in how to make money or just administration-wise over the business.
So it was almost like a journey.
100%.
Okay, that's really important, because I think it's not like a lot of people will have in their minds that it's just like, okay, you just get rich fast, but it's really like a step-by-step process. And every week it's micro wins.
It is literally just a step-by-step process and micro wins. I remember one day specifically, I think we spent the whole hour or even an hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking about objection handling, and we would,
I remember that.
We would just practice like role play. He would play me, Dimitri, the Zebeco dancer, and I would be a client, and I would try to give all the objections possible. I would try to not get closed at the end of our role play. That was personally one of my favorite days, because it unblocked so many limited beliefs that I had. Before, I would call the people to pitch my offer, and they'd be like, oh, it's just a little too expensive for me. And I would bug, I don't know what to say at the end. And the fact that we did that group meeting specifically, and we talked about objection handling, identity framing as well, you'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
That helped a lot, and that's one of the biggest unblocks that I had in terms of limiting belief.
That's actually such a good point, because I think a huge part of sales is like the mindset behind it. Because like, if somebody says like, no, I won't buy, if you're not in the right headspace, that it's like, okay, that's just somebody telling you like how, or there's something beneath that, like we always talked about. It's like an iceberg. And I think that might have helped people because limiting beliefs is part of objection handling. For you, what was the limiting beliefs? Like, let's say somebody would call you and I remember it was something like they would say like, I don't have enough time, it's too far, I don't know, I'll see in a few weeks. Like, when somebody said that to you prior to us working on it together, like what was the limiting beliefs that you had? For the person watching that might be doing sales right now or might want to do objection handling but is still stuck in that frame.
I never thought that it would be a way to, I wouldn't say convince, but really help the customer, the client realize that that's what they actually want in terms of the program, because it still is something that I believe is worth in terms of money-wise, time, and what the people learn from what I teach. And the limiting belief that I had was like, oh, maybe they're right. If it's too far, for example, one of the biggest objections that I had, because they're from Laval and I was doing my classes in Montreal, I'll be like, okay, well, we'll keep in contact if ever I do a class in Laval. But I never thought that I could frame them to make them believe like this is actually worth doing the whole drive, looking for parking, just to join my class. I never thought that could be possible in terms of like the psychology behind it.
100%. And I think that's such a big thing because unless, like, before we break it down, like why it makes sense, because you basically have to sell yourself on why it makes sense. And I think that's such a huge part. I remember that class vividly. There's actually a YouTube video posted that has that whole class, I think. So, okay, so the objection handling was one thing. What about like in terms of like money? Because I know we helped you go I think you were working a 9 to 5 at the time?
Yes, I was making $20 an hour doing customer service.
Okay. So you went from that and then like walk us through your journey. So I believe in the end you before we stopped working together, the business in general, I think you generated around $6,000 rev, right?
Yeah, so my first group, I had 38 people. I was very nervous. I wasn't as confident in my skill of dancing zabekiko, and I've never pitched anything to anyone or tried selling or even did a class of any type. So my first event, at 38 people show, only 17% closing rate, because even though the pitch was good, my delivery wasn't the best. My intonations, my pause, I was a little fast. I think people could tell that I was nervous. And so I made 2.1 revenue, only 17% closing rate. From that event, I've tried to work on my pitch, my tonality, something that we worked on together as well.
Yeah.
Just trying to fix all the problems that I had in my free event so I could have a higher closing percentage, or trying to save a little more money because I spent $1,200 in ads only because my cost per lead wasn't the best. And for my second event, I had 42 people show and I've closed a little more than 17%. I think it was 20 or 21.
Okay, so a good improvement still.
It's improvements, but I've managed to save $1,200 in the back end of the business.
That's
so in
huge.
terms of
That's huge.
ads, venue, and just marketing in general.
That's huge because obviously revenue is a big thing, but at the end of the day, like the numbers is obviously the profit side. I think what we did is we helped you build a structure where you were able to grow inside of it. Bring Dimitri's Zabekiko to class. Bring Dimitri's energy, your personality, your sales ability. Do you think that that's what helped you, or like what do you feel?
So when I was pitching, or even when I was doing my event in the middle of just teaching people how to dance, one thing that I've picked up on is how you were teaching us, or were talking about our funnel and whatever, when we were just doing the meetings together. I picked up on that. I was trying to, I wouldn't say imitate, but mimic your movements, using your hands, talking slowly, taking pauses. And I think that helped me a lot because even though I was stressed, obviously I'm still a little stressed when I do an event today. I still had way more confidence just because I would see how Nick does his presentations and group meetups. I don't want to say I felt like Nick D'Angelo at that time, but I was like, you know what? I'm Dimitri Maris. I'm teaching this class like the way you were doing it as well. Like you were presenting everything with confidence, even though we knew each other. That's how I felt, and I think that's one of the big things that helped me during the community, our time at the community.
That's such a big thing, because it's like one of the biggest things that I think we can all realize about success is like you have everything you need here. Oftentimes, I think we all think about we need success, or the version of ourselves that's doing what we want to do is somewhere else. We have to go find it. But it's always within here. And I think that's one thing that we walk through a lot, is like the realization that you could objection handle, you could pitch, you could do this Bekiko, you could charge more. It's all here. And that's such a big realization, because success is literally from within. And if you can be in an abundance mindset, and if you can kind of pretend to already be that person who's successful, it will happen, because people feel that energy. And I think maybe that's exactly what you're talking about. It's you just stepped into that version, almost like you pretended like you were confident, and you were confident.
100%. Before doing my first event, a lot of entrepreneurs, I was getting advice from them, and they were telling me, oh yeah, you're not going to make a profit out of it. Since it's your first event, you're going to be in the red, or best case scenario, break even. But for my first event, even though like there was a lot of mistakes, a lot of stuff that I could still be working on, I ended up in the green.
You still ended up making money. So
yes, 100%. I think I've made profit $200-300, which isn't a lot.
No.
But
for a first event, it's not bad.
Just making that, told myself like, okay, this is proof that whatever I'm doing with Nick is working.
Yeah. So that was like the first little bit of proof that really made you realize that you're probably capable of actually doing more.
Actually,
or like other people saying like, oh, you're not gonna make money, you can't do this, but then you listen to yourself, and then it's like, okay, well, I can actually do this. Mm-hmm. Awesome, man. So I guess like overall, you've made $6,000 from this business, and would you say, compared to working a 9-to-5 when you were working before $20 an hour, would you say it was life-changing for you? Or like, how would you describe having made that money doing something you love from a skill that you actually enjoy? It's also in your culture. And doing it on your own terms, taking a risk, and the whole experience, would you say it was a transformation for you, or was it life-changing for you?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Because first of all, I'm not only teaching and selling Bekiko to make money, but it's really actually something that I enjoy. And yeah. I've gotten a lot of feedback. And you're good at it,
you're actually really good at it. Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of feedback from my students that bought the program. They're like, we can tell that you enjoy doing this. The fact that I learned a lot of skills, I have a friend that is starting doing window cleaning, and I'm helping him with ads, scripts, because I enjoy doing this. That would be the biggest change in my life, because I know this is what I want to do. Not necessarily only teaching Bekiko, but trying to scale businesses. So if ever I hit a ceiling with Bekiko, I would pivot to something else. That's how I would say it changed my life, and for the better by far.
And that's so important, because it's like there's a lot of business mentors that just want to make money and want their people to make money. That's true, I want that, but I also want people who work with me to feel truly aligned and happy. Like, you saying that is better than any amount of money that you've ever made from it, because me picturing you dancing and smiling and laughing with your people, that's the best thing. That's the most important thing. To the person watching that is maybe on the fence of starting something, or would maybe be looking to be working with us, what would you say to that person based off of your experience of actually working with us?
You have to take the first step. You have to do it. At first, like, if it wasn't for Nick or the inner circle, I wouldn't be in a position that I am today in terms of skills that I've learned. Money that I've made, I haven't made that much, but I know that from what I've learned, I can make a lot more. And I will make a lot more. And if you don't take the first step, you won't change anything from your life. Because I've taken that step of joining Nick and getting help from Nick as a mentor, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy of the results, and I'm really happy of the transformation. And I think you're on
still
to
more
big
to come.
Things. Still more to come, and I think you're on to big things, man. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Cool.
Thank you.